Hello and welcome. My name is Robert Lyon, host of The Lion Show. Today we got a rock star. I'm excited to talk to Ty Shane. He is CEO of 10x Cold Leads. He's an AI outbound expert, and I'm just excited to have you on the show, man. I think you'll do a better job kind of introducing yourself. But tell everybody a little bit about you and kind of what you got going on right now.
So I'm just like you, anybody watching, got my trials, got my struggles. For me, best way to put it is my business and how I approach business is a reflection of who I've become through my journey, through my adversities, through the pain, through the suffering, through the sacrifices that I've had to make. That is actually what gives my business and the way I approach AI and outbound its unique identity. And so while we're going through our struggles in life, we don't always realize the long-term impacts and outcomes. We don't always understand how we're being developed, how we're being refined, how our perceptions and our perspectives are being molded into something greater than what they used to be. And so today I'm real big on AI and outbound. And for me, the way that I approach it is very creative. It's outside the box thinking. And that's literally 1000% correlated to the same mindsets that it took for me to overcome homelessness, incarceration, addiction, and a lot of other different demons and life trials that I had to overcome just to even get here today to be on this podcast. So I can even go through my current business struggles to hopefully get to better struggles. And so
Right.
I prayed for these problems as everyone who's watching this, you pray for the problems you have today. And
Yeah,
the
exactly.
problems you had today are far greater than the problems of yesterday.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And I don't trust anybody who hasn't gone through some serious adversity, man. So I think that's like a
Yeah.
road as part of the path, man. You gotta do it, or else like I don't want to listen. But man, I'm really excited to have you
Yeah.
on today. What are some things though that you're excited about in your business or in AI? Like, what are some things that you're pumped up about right now in your life?
If you're in marketing, you're in the digital world, actually, it doesn't even matter what you're in. Like right now is like the land of opportunity
Yeah,
because everything has been reset. Everything that was traditional is literally can evolve into who knows what. Like we're just at the baby little steps of evolution. And so the windows of opportunity for everybody are astronomical right now. You
yeah,
can take your boring, slow, prehistoric dinosaur business and you can make it into something that wasn't even possible just years ago. And so I'm just excited to solve problems in a way to create new outputs that previously we didn't even have the inputs we can use today to create the outcomes that we now can create. And
yeah.
so, like in my business, I'm creating offers now that I'm putting to the test and I've already solved. Now it's like, hey, let's make this tangible. And what I'm doing, I could have done 2 years ago. It wasn't even possible.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter where you're at in your business or what business you have. If you put a little creativity to it and you add AI to it and you add automations and you add just the different, ways of streamlining processes and different elements and mechanisms within your business, you can literally go from here and like a little metaphorical slingshot and you can shoot past everybody. So like the foxes hold an
Mhm.
advantage over the whales right now. So like the littler man actually has a bigger advantage than the bigger man because the bigger man can't pivot very
Right.
fast. And so it's like the best time to be alive.
I know, man. So for all of my businesses, I've been such an advocate for just the VSL funnel, right? Just like the standard, throw a VSL up there, run as much traffic to it as much, close like fucking 10%. And then we just started doing some more experimenting, and we found a way to get like a 25x on our ad spend, which is crazy, dude. So that's what's up, right? And but I love outbound too. But it is a time to be creative. That's all I'm getting at. It's like a time to think outside the box. Outbound is such a grind, but if you find like one little way to do it, like that little like 2% open rate and answers can turn into millions of dollars, right? So who do you like to work with right now for what you're
Oh,
doing?
well, I'll tell you this, we don't deal with 2% open rates.
Right.
We deal with like 30% reply rates, 20% reply rates,
Cool.
80% positive reply rates. Like basically the way that outbound has changed is the whole spray and pray is dead. It's gone. Only
Yeah.
amateurs spray and pray. Now
I'm
it's
an
about
amateur
finding
then.
signals. Yeah, well, you're just not experienced in it. Like we
Right.
go and we connect APIs, different databases, we run web scrapers, we
Cool.
go and correlate different signals. We stack signals to find high relevant prospects. So instead of
Nice.
treating a whole list of 10,000 the same, you find like 6 different ways to treat that list. But even within those 6 different ways, you're using AI and you're giving the AI the information on these different signals so that it can basically position your value proposition in a way that's hyper relevant and personalized to that specific lead. And
Wow.
so it's more comprehensive and robust than it's ever been before, but it's also completely automated. Like you
Right.
build it out one time and then you just plug and play and it just runs on its own. And
Nice.
so you couldn't do that 2 years ago. And so it's an entire new landscape. So I've been big on teaching, so coaching and consulting.
Right.
My done for you. So like now my base price for done for you is 15K. And
Sweet.
that even makes me sick to my stomach because the people that I'm providing it to, like the ROI is exponential. So it's like I'm actually the one losing because we know how ROI should be correlated to how much someone is investing in something. And
Yeah.
then it's like Alex Shamosi says, go make these people money. Don't worry about these guys. And he's like, I'm gonna get kickback for this.
Right.
But he's like, that's who's gonna move the needle. That's who's gonna pay you the money you need to actually grow your business. That's
Yeah.
who's gonna get you to the finish lines. Then you can come back and help these people, but you're gonna have to put in exponentially more work down here than you will up here. And then the doors that people up here will open for you are literally exponentially bigger than any door down here that can be open for you. And so if you're trying to
Absolutely.
grow business, you're trying to create a legacy, you're trying to create impact in the world, you're trying to change lives, you're trying to inspire and motivate. Well, you better start finding these guys because they'll get you on those stages. They'll open those doors, but they'll give you the cash flow and they'll actually pay you good money for what you do.
Oh,
And it takes the same amount of effort to serve up here as it does down here. But
oh.
you get exponential returns up here. And so I pulled back from done for you for a second, focused on teaching, consulting, creating courses, coaching people,
Yeah.
and I've been refining like who am I going to serve? How do I want to serve them? What's this new offer? And my new offer is an offer that not a single cold email agency is doing right now because I'm literally going to destroy monthly recurring revenue from cold outbound. You don't need it anymore. You just
Right.
need it. How do I say this? It's like right now, agencies, they hold the keys to the Lambo and they keep the Lambo in their garage, but you're paying on the Lambo, but you don't get to drive it. So it's like now it's like, hey, we're gonna build the Lambo, we're gonna deck it out for you, we're gonna give you the keys, but you don't even need to use the keys because you don't have to even start it. It's just always running. And then if you want to upgrade it, you want another Lambo, you want to get your monthly little oil change and these other different things, then we'll come in and we'll maintain it and we'll do maintenance on it. But other than that, the thing's just it's like the new Teslas now. They have a new thing where you'll be at work and your Tesla's gonna go work the streets for you. Like
Yeah,
the
I saw that.
Tesla's gonna go and it's gonna
Go
yeah.
be a
So it's the
taxi
same
cab while you're at
concept.
work.
Yeah,
That's cool,
exactly.
man.
It's gonna go work the streets for you, make you some money. It's the same kind of a concept, but lead gen.
That's sick, man. All right, so let's just dumb it down for people. What's the bumper sticker of what you do? More outbound, better outbound, AI outbound. Like you'll find the right people and you'll send them the right message.
It's personalized messaging in
Perfect.
front of the right people at the right time.
Love
And
it.
so that's why signals are so important because signals give you real time insight. When you get just a list, like people will go to Apollo, ZoomInfo, whatever, like, oh, hey, I need to find like this person in
Yeah.
this industry. And there's download a whole list and just email everybody with the same messaging.
Right. So
That
now you
doesn't
can
make any
tweak, you can
sense.
change the message with AI. Is that what it is? That's so sick.
Well, you segment it and you use signals. So you're
Yeah.
segmenting even differently than they segmented 2 years ago. So now I can go like check the stock market and say, hey, which of these lists have their stock price has dropped by more than 10% in the last 6 months. I'm just
Wow.
saying, like, you can get real granular with it. Like, which one of these just got a new CEO in the last 6 months? Which one
Mhm.
of these has a CEO? Like, I'm just saying, you can get real granular on the personal level and get really granular on the company level. And
Mhm.
it's about not reaching out to everybody, but reaching out to the people who actually have like a relevant need based on whatever those signals are for your services. But then it also allows you to come in and pattern disrupt. So a big part of
Cool.
it is pattern disruption because you are getting more LinkedIn cold DMs, more Facebook cold DMs, and more email cold DMs, Instagram cold DMs, Twitter cold DMs than you've ever gotten before. So our
Wow.
brains in era of information overload, there's called cognitive biases. And so what's happening is it's actually getting harder and harder and harder to break through those defense walls because
Yeah.
the brain in the era of information overload is working quadruple time to reduce its job by categorizing things. So it's just like if you see certain sentences or certain lines, your brain's already like, oh crap, that's a pitch. Skip,
Yeah.
oh, skip. Or
Right.
you accept someone on Facebook as for a friend request, and all of a sudden it's like like post, like post, like post, like post, like post. And after you see 5 in a row, you're like, oh crap, here comes the pitch. And then
Right.
9 times out of 10, there goes the pitch in your DMs because your brain has already categorized that this is going to be associated to this outcome. And so the whole point as well of getting real granular with your targeting and your signals is it allows you to pattern disrupt and find different ways of capturing their attention where nobody else has already ruined it for you. And so you
Hmm.
kind of have a fresh slate and you're going against less resistance. So when they say that the top 1% of salesmen do what the 99% don't, what they're referring to is cognitive biases. They don't give their prospect's brain the opportunity to negatively associate their words, their behaviors, or physiology, et cetera, with some sort of bad past experience. And so with cold outbound, it's more important than ever because people's negative biases are building at quicker rates than ever before because they're getting desensitized because
Right.
everything's been exponentially increased in volume.
Yeah, well, our standards have gone up, right? The old school like pitch just doesn't hit like it used to because they've just been seeing it so many times, or they're numb to it now, right? So you have to have a higher level of standard. Like even with content now, like we just like are scroll, and in order to stand out, you got to really edit the video or have like a really good hook or really get them. So is it
Yeah.
all email? I guess you said it could be other kinds of platforms too, or is it mostly just email?
Well, it's all about starting point, and then
Right,
how can I stack this? So it's just like an ad, for example, 7 to
right,
14 touch points. If you're not doing retargeting with your ads, you're crazy because most
right.
people aren't going to take action on the first ad. And so it's the same concept with emails, with follow-ups, but it's also about getting them onto other platforms to try and buy for their attention. And so, I mean, there's a lot of really creative ways. Or you can also take that data and retarget them on paid ads as well. So like
Right.
you can get really creative. I haven't done all of that myself, but
Yeah.
I mean that's some of the partnerships I'm looking into right now. It's like, oh, how
Cool.
can I start partnering with these other people where we can start feeding the cold email stuff into the more paid ads kind of aside and these other creative, marketing mediums.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, email, and then
Yeah.
cold calling. So like the access to data is at an all-time high. Data is
Right.
like the new gold, but it's also becoming cheaper than ever as well. Like the data, like you can get, it's just crazy the kind of data you can get on people. Like soon we're gonna know how many kids they have. And I say
Right.
that
Their
jokingly,
blood type,
but I'm
like
like,
what's behind their
yeah,
ears.
but no, but when I say it, I'm kind of joking just to like make a point. But then I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, oh crap, I'm probably gonna bite my tongue because we probably are gonna know how many kids they have soon.
Right.
And with
Right.
AI, and well, think about this: AI can scan images. So you send it to their personal Facebook profile, you have to scan all their images, and as AI gets smarter and smarter and smarter, I'm gonna know if they've got kids.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the words, whether it's having it scan their pictures that they share in their personal profiles. So
Yeah.
like one of the things that I do is I start from the list and then I have the AI go out and find their personal Facebook profile. And then from that point on, you can feed that list of a CSV into one of the little Facebook automation AI outreach softwares. And you
Yeah.
can start getting in front of them. Or you can just be sneaky about it and start liking their content because business owners, generally speaking, have their profiles public.
Right.
B2C is harder, but B2B is a lot easier because we tend to leave our profiles and our pages open because that's how we run businesses.
Right. You got to be open. That's their main channel. Well, let's take one step back. What was your first entrepreneur journey that you like keep broke into the industry, or like what was kind of like the beginning of your business life like?
Well, I failed right into the homeless shelter.
Yeah.
So I'm about to pass 6 figures.
Cool.
And just 18 months ago, I was in the homeless shelter because I was making $0. I
Hmm.
had limiting beliefs. So I was incarcerated because of my addiction. I made like 20 cents an hour for a really long time. So, which is say I have been psychologically manipulated, as has my whole entire demographic. 77% of people who ever step foot out of prison will return. And now that I'm educated in like sociology, psychology, and a lot of other different things, it's all pure psychological warfare and manipulation because they're basically cash cows. And
Right.
so they have created a system that literally manipulates failure. And so I had a lot of limiting beliefs, jumped into entrepreneurship. I had the gusto, I had the motivation. I'm a really fast learner. I'm such a fast learner that sometimes it's a double edged sword That's
Right.
all I'm going to say on that matter. I'm a really fast learner. And I ended up going straight to the homeless shelter because I didn't know how to ask for money. I wasn't asking for enough money. I was doing things for free. I was offering to do things for free. And then when it came for, to get Piper needs to get paid, I wouldn't ask for the money.
Yeah.
And so I went through a really painful experience, ended up in the homeless shelter for like 5, 6 days. And then a mentor ended up lifting me up. I helped him out with the co-working space. And I still at that point didn't realize why I ended up in the homeless shelter. And it was just like 15 days after that that I got a copywriting job and I wrote a
Cool.
bunch of blog articles, and she had to harass me. And this is only this is only for $850. Now I'm sending out 15, 30K invoices and
Yeah.
proposals. And over $850, bro. She had to harass me. Like, I love her for this too. I love her because
Yeah.
this is when I realized, oh crap, this is why I'm here. This
Hmm.
is why I'm in this spot, because this woman is harassing me for $850 for work that I'm fulfilling and I'm doing, and I was super like underpriced as well too,
Hmm.
So like it just there's no reason. And so that was, my first whole year. I was in college. I was taking 18 credits. First year. During that year, I was studying sociology. Before that, it was molecular genetics. But I was
Cool.
studying sociology, and so I had student loans, and so that's one of the boats that I had to burn. And so
Right.
I realized I'm like, oh, this is a crutch. I know that
Right.
I'll get my student loans and this, and this. And so I cut off the student loans. I ended up crashing and burning. And then from that point on, I've been very consciously aware to make sure that I ask for money. But then
Hmm.
I've also been aware of like my value, what I bring to the field.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do I say it? It's even now, like about to close a deal, and I'm like, crap, I should be charging double for this. I can't believe
Right.
that I'm only charging 15K for this. I should be charging 30K for this. And
Easily.
so that's where I started, and
Yeah.
then that's where I'm at now. And it's just like, how do I say it? Like that's why I
Revolutionary.
say, well, yeah, well, that's why I say like there's power in the pain, there's power in the failures. There's
Yeah.
so much power in it. And I would say that a big turning point for me in business was that, because that's when I really started to understand that my experiences and my environment
Hmm.
and my external reality was giving me like insight and depth into where I'm at internally. And so
Right.
I knew this from addiction. I knew this from institutionalization. I knew this from my childhood traumas, but for some reason I wasn't connecting it to business.
Mm. Yeah. One of my
And
big
so
mentors, man, one of my favorite things he kept telling me is profit is not a bad word. What's the biggest thing you got to learn? Profit is not a bad word. And you got to charge what you're worth, man, because nobody's going to value your services. Even if if they make a lot of money, they will. But for the most part, even if you work all day, every day for some people, it still won't be enough. They're just going to be a take, take, take. So you got to take care of, what is it? Protect the asset, right? So you're the asset. So you got to fucking take care of the asset, and then you can overflow into other things and other people and things like that. And yeah, I just went through the same experience where I was trying to help people get access to money, and I wasn't charging up front, and you just end up with a bunch of desperate people that aren't can appreciate all that you can do. And now that you're doing AI, bro, like I just ran around with Zapier like over the weekend, and I just want to pull my fucking hair out, bro. Like I would pay so much money just to have people automate shit for me, you know what I mean? So you're in a good niche right now, I swear to God. It's hard, man. AI, Zapier, like you got to get real like scientific and like microscopic with it to make sure shit's connecting and shit works. But when it works, it's freedom. That's what I love about the AI. Is like my whole main thing right now is like obviously charge what you're worth, but also optimize for freedom. Make as much money as you possibly can. But I want to make all my businesses, like money doesn't make me happy. Systems that make me money make me happy, right? Having a system set up that actually turns into cash or blows up my business or helps people get an actual result. That's what happiness is for me right now. Cause like I just want to automate everything. I want to systematize everything, but I want it to work, right? So when it works, that's the end result. That's the happiness. That's the success for I think a lot of business owners, and they need to find that. So I think you're on it, man.
the thing about AI is it's evergreen.
Right.
So you're never, so like when I consult people who've been doing cold email for a decade, and I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I've only been doing this for 18 months and I'm already consulting people who've been doing this for a decade. Well,
Yeah.
it's the same concept of it's like it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks
Right.
because they have to unlearn everything that they knew. Everything
Right.
that worked for them doesn't work anymore. Like literally none of it works anymore. The deliverability rules have changed. The
Yeah.
the need to have unique copy has changed. And so it's a completely different playing field now. And because I started at the AI, like the precipice of AI, if I use that word correctly, I
Right. Yeah.
might
I
have
think so.
not used that word correctly. I think
The
I
tip of the
did.
spear of AI. That's where you're
Yeah, yeah.
at.
Right when AI started, like it gave me an advantage. And
Yeah.
so like everything that I'm learning, I will never have to unlearn it. And so it's just the best time for anybody in their business. Like you don't even need to be the one learning the AI, but if you can just AIify your business and
Right.
AIify the way you go about your business, like I'm just saying, like there's no real competition anymore. And I'd say for the next couple years, like no business really has competition if
Hmm.
they start to AIify what they're doing it, how they're doing it, how they provide value to the market, take the traditional way of doing something and streamline it and amplify it in ways that you couldn't before. But in the process, you're not just like automating and streamlining it, you're doing it with intelligence. It's just
Right.
like the stuff that we do is scraping. Like we
Hmm.
intelligently scrape. But like
Wow.
before, like people were only just scraping. And I
Yeah.
don't even know how to I don't even know how to do that. I only know how to intelligently scrape because
Yeah.
that's where I started from.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
better.
the world is like what is it? The world is in the palm of your hand right now for all business owners.
Yeah.
And if you have the cash flow, you don't have to learn the AI. You just got to bring the AI mind into the business to put that, that second set of eyes on how you do things and what you're doing, and you can revolutionize something in your business. It's just like the new Optimus robots. Like I'm just thinking like the new
Those are
Tesla
cool.
robots. Yeah, well, I heard people they're like, yeah, I just pre-ordered one, and I'm thinking
What?
like, you need to put that in your marketing because that's
Right.
going to pique curiosity. I'm just saying,
Uh-huh.
like right now is a whole new era of lots of
Right.
opportunity.
Oh man, I'll pay for AI to do my dishes and laundry all day, bro. Let's see. Let's make that happen. Get those robots work to work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, I got personal questions I got to ask because, like, I started with Instantly for outbound, right? And I loved Instantly, and we made a shitload of money. But then the good old Google slap came in and destroyed that. So, how are you finding it into people like the inbox? Have you figured? You don't have to tell me the secrets, but like, have you found a way to get into the inbox of the decision makers, like, without going to the spam folders and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's easy.
You figured it
It's
out?
actually very easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, number one, you have to lower your volume.
Right.
Number two, you have to use unique copy. So that's why
Yeah.
we're so
That's a
AI
big thing. When
driven
you said that,
because
I was like, oh yeah, ding. Because
yeah,
if you send the same
every
message, it gets
email
blocked.
immediately. Yeah, no, like you are guaranteed to go to spam if your emails are similar to one another. So
Right.
I shoot for literally 80% or more different. I
Wow.
want 80% or more of my emails to be different because I
Right.
know that gives me the best chance of it being perceived by the servers as being a real email. So like it's
Beautiful.
just like think about it like this. Does it make sense for anybody who's not up to something to send out the same email from a cold vantage point to 1,000 people? No, it makes no sense. Like
Right.
no one who's doing something that they should be doing would do that. If I was
Mm.
actually reaching out to someone, I was reaching out to them about an opportunity. I wanted to, share something with them or compliment them. All my emails would look different. And
Right.
so it's just understanding kind of what they're looking for the spammers and the scammers. Even though you aren't that, they're looking for low hanging fruit. And you have to remember Google's got Gemini,
Hmm.
Microsoft's got ChatGPT. So if you
Right.
think for a second that they're not putting intelligence to try and protect the user experience,
Yeah.
we're out of our mind. And
For
so
sure.
it's lowering the volume. It's matching the Outlooks to the Outlooks, the Gmails to the Gmails.
Oh
It's
wow.
sending out unique. It's sending out. Yeah, so that's one of the tricks as well too
That's a good
for
one.
increased
That's a
deliverability.
gem.
Um, yeah, and then as well, it's how do I say it? No HTML. Obviously, you can do HTML, but then unique copy. And
Hmm.
so it's not like everything is guaranteed. But if you're avoiding the spam words, you're not sending out salesy copy, and you really put a fine tooth and comb, which I use AI to do it. I have AI do everything.
Right.
Then you can avoid all those different things at scale while sending out unique copy using hyper relevant, hyper personalized information on each lead and company. And so while you're increasing your deliverability, you're also getting more granular. So you're pattern disrupting the prospects. And when they open it
Right.
up, they don't ever think that this email was sent to 1,000 other people. But when they
Right.
open up the other cold emails, generally speaking, that's how they're going to feel because that's how most people cold email.
It's like hyper personalization. That's pretty sick. So like you think
Yeah.
like a B2B offer would be better. Probably have to do high ticket something so that it makes it all pay for everything, right? Is there, and then you do your AI thing. Is there any other like characteristics of you see like a really killer offer that AI is just like, or your AI specifically outbound is just killing it for?
Well, the thing about it is it's not the AI.
Hmm.
AI is just taking what you're giving it and making it, it's positioning it at scale. That'd be the
Right.
best way to do it. So if you have a crappy offer, it doesn't matter how much AI you have. If
Right.
you have bad messaging and you're not feeding the AI the right context around the ICP, you're not
Uh-huh.
providing the AI enough information on, why this is relevant to the company, who they serve. Like you're not doing all these extra steps and getting all these different signals and being able to position it effectively. It doesn't matter how good your AIifying of the process is because it's just
Right.
going to fall on deaf ears. Just like a really good ad copy that goes to a crappy funnel page, and you're like, but I had such a good ad. Well, your
Yeah.
funnel page sucks, so you're not going to convert. And
Right.
so it's the same kind of a concept. And so if you're trying to sell garbage, you're still selling garbage.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
so you still have to have something that they want. But that's why signals are so good because you can repackage the offer based on the signals at scale based on different data sets that you give the AI.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're putting your brain into the AI. Because, like, I mean, I'll go through my CRM and I'll find all the people that have opened my emails recently, or replied to a text, or like have called us and stuff like that. And if I could just get an AI to find the most engaged people inside of our lists, like that's just a gold mine right there, right? And then you find other data points on them and you can blow them up. I mean, I was really close to I get this is where your value comes in. Like we had 60,000 leads. We were so close to getting AI setters, right? Or we were going to pay for it. And then it was just like, it seemed like a whole nother thing that I'd have to learn. Right. So I just didn't want to do it. But I dropped the ball on that one. I think it could have been a big breakthrough. You know what I mean? But you need someone like you to set it all up because I've got so much stuff going on as a business owner that if I have to go and learn this whole other thing, I think I screwed up. So how would you go about explaining that to business owners, or like letting them open their mind up to trying to try and do something new, right? How are you going through that process with like on the sales calls, I guess?
Well, so that's why my new offer is what it is. And
Yeah.
so I'm doing a slight R&D with it, but it's already proven.
Yeah.
And it's fully automating. It's like fully automating what cold email agencies either are holding hostage and charging you 10,000 plus dollars a month to run. Because the cold email agencies that do what we do, they're collecting 10K plus per month from every single person that they're dealing with. And
Yeah.
so it's just like in the proposal that I sent when they accepted it, I'm like, hey, you're going to save $105,000 over the next 12 months by just having this built in your business and then
Yeah.
us just solving for a couple different variables that are very personal to you to automate, plugging in the leads and all that kind of a stuff. Because we use
Yeah.
Clay. We just use clay.com. And
Yeah.
so like clay.com is king. Clay is king. So
I was
anybody
gonna
watching this,
yeah, tell me a little bit about
clay.com
that.
is king. It's just about tech stacks. It's all it comes down to. So it's like I'll use three different language learning models in
Wow.
all workflows
Hmm.
because it's just like you have your HR team, your sales team, and your marketing team. Would you have your marketing department do your HR department's jobs? Would you have your sales team do your marketing team's jobs? It might work for sales and marketing, but there's still going to be a disconnect. And it's
Right.
the same concept with language learning models. And so anybody who thinks, oh, everything is chat GPT, you're setting yourself up for failure because that's how language learning models are. It's just like they have their pros and they have their cons, they have their
Right.
different use cases, and they're going to have better outputs for different kinds of tasks depending on which language learning model they are. And so we just have a comprehensive understanding on like which softwares, which databases, which language learning models, which scrapers,
Wow.
just like there's browser-based automation. So
Hmm.
whatever the automation loop is on any manual process, you can fill in every single gap with some form of tech. And so
Wow.
like right now, everything's just tech stack driven. And that's
Hmm.
why you can automate it. You can automate it because it's all tech stack driven and there are tech stacks to automate manual processes and you just build it on the front end and then you basically automate it from there on. And
Wow.
so that's the way I would put it to people is you have to learn it to a degree
Yeah.
and it's going to be very expensive to not have to learn it. And
Yeah,
so
right. That's the real deal.
it's just like with some of my coaching clients right now. It's like they don't want to put in the work, but they paid at the price point to where you have to learn it.
Yeah.
And so you really got to pick and choose what you want to do. If you're
Hmm.
down at this price point, you're gonna have to learn it because that's just how the market works. But if you want to pay exponentially more, then you don't have to learn it because now you can pay to have all these different experts, based on one expert come
Hmm.
build this, fine-tuned machine that's, well greased, well oiled, and filled with gas 24/7. And you don't necessarily have to learn it as much. And from
Yeah.
then it's more like how do you learn to just identify when something's maybe going wrong so then you can call the mechanic in versus having to be the mechanic. And
Right.
so that's what I'm doing because what you just said is spot on.
Hmm.
It's like how do I take an industry and basically disrupt the industry but empower the business owners so they don't have to, think about it. Six figures.
Yeah.
Like six figures. You save six figures by doing it this way, and you don't have to learn it.
Yeah.
So it's like so. I mean, I don't know if I answered your question specifically as you
Hmm.
asked it, but it's really tech driven, and it's about stacking the right tech,
Hmm.
and then connecting them efficiently as fit for the ICP, the offers, and it's just like you can use personalized video. Are you going to do these different strategies? Are you going to do omni-channel? Are you going to have a sales team? So like with someone that I'm building out the strategy for because they're in manufacturing, we're going to want to have cold callers. You're going to want
Right.
to have cold callers. And so every industry is going to be different. And it's just about stacking the right, mechanisms of the lead generation process together to get the outcome you want without having to babysit it, without having to learn it all, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think that's killer. No, you did answer it, but it was a epiphany for me, right? I gotta fucking learn this shit. So you would say start with clay.com, start there as your learning experience and like figure out what stack
Yep.
is gonna be the right for you. That's beautiful.
Yep.
I mean, it's just wild, man. The wild AI, wild west, and it's not going to stop, right? It's just, it's just going to take over
It's
everything, man.
moving fast. It's
Yeah,
moving so fast. And so one of the things that I teach to people is the best way to learn this stuff is just make sure you're following the right people. Because it's
right.
just like me. How do I learn and know as much as I know without like no human could do as much as I know
Yeah,
themselves. Even if you're sending out millions and millions of emails, still there's not enough volume to solve enough problems to understand the whole playing field.
right.
But if you're following the right people and you're connected to them, you're in private, communication channels with them, you're in the right congregated pools as these people, you can see what they're doing. You can see the problems they're having. It's like so every time I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm scrolling, it's like you scroll with the right people and you're like, oh, hey, I didn't even know you could do that. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, hey, they solved that way. Hey, that just sparked an idea for a problem I've been trying to solve. Or
right.
you see some stuff and then you hit a problem a week later and you're like, oh, I remember so and so was doing something similar and this is how they solved it. This is where they went. This is what they did. This is how they were able to identify this thing, whatever it is. And so, more than ever, because it's moving so fast, you've got to follow a diverse group of people that are all
Yeah,
focusing on the same problem, but they're solving in different ways. Because it's like lead gen. You have marketers focusing on different niches. They're solving different problems. You've got go to market versus the non go to market. I'm just saying you got all the different ways of skinning the same cat. Well, if you want to learn at an exponential rate,
hmm,
follow these people. That's who
right.
you need to be scrolling through. You need to go follow them on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And so when you're doom scrolling, at least get some value from it, right?
Who do you like to follow right now in the AI industry? Who are some brands or names that you like to learn from?
I'm gonna tell you right now, Eric Nowoslowski, Patrick Spilchelski, Michael Lieber.
Michael Lieber.
These are all like, yeah, these are all people. So Michael Lieber's Cold IQ, Patrick Spilchowski is the Kiln, Eric Nowoslowski is Growth Engine X. Like these are just absolute studs at what they
Cool.
do. They're sending out more emails than I've ever sent out. They're making more money than I have ever made, and that's why I want to follow them. I want to
Right.
follow people who are better than me,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're doing more than me. So, and that's what I tell people. Just like in my course, I'm like, listen, like I'm showing you a lot of things, but make sure you're following these people too. And that
Right.
might seem like a counterproductive thing to do, but it's like if I want you to learn how I've learned at the rate I have learned with the broad, understanding that I have, this is how you do it. This is the
Mhm.
secret. And so for me in AI, it's really following people who are doing similar things, and they're all clay based
Yeah.
because clay is so versatile. It's just a hub. It's a hub, and you don't even have to solve just outbound. It works for inbound too. And so
Hmm.
even though I'm solving for outbound, I already know how to solve for using it for inbound because
Right.
I'm following people who do it and I understand the principles and the concepts and the strategies based on what I have done. So when I see what they're doing, I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. Oh, hey,
Hmm.
I'm doing three-quarters of that for outbound. That's just a little different twist because it's for inbound. And
Yeah.
so like there's just so much, yeah. So in AI, you can't possibly learn everything. You got to follow people and you got to see what other people are doing. Because it's just
Absolutely.
like when you see people are doing with like the AI videos versus AI text versus
Uh,
like all these different things of AI, like no one marketer is ever going to use all seven of these different outlets for AI at the same time, but you can stay knowledgeable about it by being sure that your doom scrolling is at least providing some productive value as
mhm.
well. And so I'm a doom scroller. So I'm just real adamant about like, hey, if you got a problem sometimes and you like to escape from doom scrolling, make sure you can learn from your doom scrolling as well. So it's
I
not
know.
just doomsday doom scrolling, it's like productive doom scrolling, kind of.
I agree. So I mean, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. This is a question. I just want to know. I want to pick your brain. So if let's say you got a great offer, right? Obviously, the offer is everything. But if you were just absolutely gonna fucking take over, right? If you were gonna print fucking money, create your money printer, what AI funnel would you do right now? Like, what do you see? Like, if for yourself, for anybody, like, if you had to pick one right now, what would be the from a high level? What would be kind of like the pieces that you would put together?
I would go cold outbound. I would
Yeah.
go cold outbound. I'd go cold outbound because depending, it doesn't matter what my offer is. It's just like if you're doing paid ads, it's like you
Hmm.
could find people who have really good like digital presence.
Yeah.
They have a pixel on their site, but they're not running ads. So like there's all these different ways you can find signals that tell you this person needs your services. Or it's like you're like you notice that they got really good presence over here. They're running ads on Facebook, they're running ads on TikTok, but they're not running ads on Instagram. And you're really good at running ads on Instagram. So
Yeah.
you can take what they're currently doing, you can even run the AIs and see what their ads are on the Facebook, on the TikTok, and then make it sound at scale like how do I say it? You position what they're currently doing into Instagram at scale with your offer and your value proposition. And so
Hmm.
like your ability to really scope and scout what people are doing at scale using AI automations and APIs. So that's like the three A's that we basically focus on is AI, APIs, and automation. And
Wow.
so that's like basically our core focus right there. Leveraging those, you can get as creative as you want.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of stuff. Like it's just like you can see if you can find companies that are in stealth mode. You can find companies that just got seed funded. You can
Right.
check. You can at scale connect to SEMrush, SpyFu, SimilarWeb, and use any of the features that they have and correlate that data to why your offer is relevant or to give you signals that this person needs your services. And then you can stack the signals and correlate the signals with other different things. Like you
Mm.
could literally follow the stock market and wait for businesses that take a dive or have a like whatever it is. I'm just saying like anything that is digitally accessible can be automated and streamlined for lead
Hmm.
generation and for filtering and for qualifying and finding different signals. I mean, I'm just saying like one of my great case studies recently. How can I say this? I feel kind of bad saying this, but like everyone's like, thank you so much for your kind words because we used a podcast appearance and
Yeah.
we complimented them on it. But we didn't listen to 116 podcasts. Hell
Right.
no, that's 116 hours. Are you serious? There's no
Right.
way we're going to do that.
But that's how you
And
get them.
so it's just like, yes, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying because people want to feel seen and heard. So you know
Yeah.
that they're feeling desensitized by all this garbage going out, and then
Right.
just different signals. Like I consulted someone who helps coaches and consultants, and so we did a little bit of reverse engineering. I'm like, number one, you just reverse engineer who you've already been able to help, And what we found in my consult was they have a TEDx, they have a book, they have a podcast, or they've been a guest on a podcast. And guess
Wow.
what we can do with all four of those signals? We can use AI to go find all of it. And then we can use AI to go tell me what the book was about, what the TEDx talk was about, what the podcast was about, and who their last, most recent guest was on their podcast. AI will do all of it. And so
Right.
just imagine like how you can reach out to these people now and then convert their message and their obvious actions of wanting to be heard into
Wow.
your offer. That's
Yeah.
going to hit differently than something that wasn't speaking to that.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, so I really believe outbound right now is where it's at. Paid
With
ads are going
signals.
up.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
And
with
data.
signals. Yes, signals. So you got to aggregate the data. You got to really like dissect. And so the way I teach people is you reverse engineer who you've already helped and you've already served. You find the different patterns. You find the different elements that you can pull as levers to find more people like them. And then you can use like Ocean.io or PandaMatch, and you can feed it a company, and it will give you based on parameters you set. It will give
Yeah.
you tens of thousands of companies that meet those same specifications. And so
Wow.
you can immediately turn one into 1,000. And that's one of the
That's
tricks people do with inbound is you
yeah.
see who's coming in inbound, you filter, you qualify, and then you multiply. So it's kind of
Wow.
like Jesus, but it's not Jesus and it's not
AI
it's not
Jesus.
bread. Yeah. And so
I love it.
I meant innocent joke. I hope nobody gets mad at me for that. I love Jesus. Okay. Christ changed my life. Okay.
Right. Me and Jesus are homeboys.
So
I love that, man.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I want
that's
to
the best way to put it.
I want to chop it up about a couple of topics. But before we hop off, like, what are some other things that people just don't know about AI that maybe we didn't touch on, or outbound AI outbound?
I think just the thing with AI is if you're not AIifying your business, you are going to die at some point in business.
Right.
Because when we talk about speed, so we know fortune favors speed. And another thing about it too is if you're a whale and you're not AIifying your business, it's going to be even harder to transition later on. And so
Wow.
I just think with anyone right now, because a fox moves faster than a whale. And so there's a lot of smaller companies that are holding an advantage in markets because they're bigger competitors. They're not able to internally convert and transform at the pace that the smaller fox can. And
Cool.
so even if you're the fox and you're not the whale, it's basically like I view it as a shelf life. There's a
Yeah.
shelf life for you to be able to function getting the results you're getting now without AIifying and streamlining your processes. And when you look at your competitors who are actually getting better profit margins because they need less humans, et cetera, just think about what those margins and those extra profits over time are going to do for their ability to grow while they're also increasing the speed and depth of scope at the same time. So they're
Yeah.
saving and they're getting more. And so, and then that gap of saving and getting more, it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, and it's like a lot of businesses, you have gaps that you can fill. You have gaps
Yeah.
you can fill. So the things that weren't allowing you to get to the next level can be filled. And so if you're not aware or looking to it and you're not being open-minded to it and you're not building your business in a way to embrace AI, you're going to, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but you're going to have a hard time in like 2 years. In like
Now,
2 years,
business
it's going to
owners
be
are
really
already
hard.
feeling it, man. They're already seeing it. Just the one nugget I want to drop for you is you should look into offering this to people, but ask for an equity play, right? Ask for a piece of their company and a piece of the profits. Like charge what you're worth, like we were talking about in the beginning, but ask for equity, bro. That's what you really need to do. So nobody else is going to do what you do, right? So say, hey, like I'll do this for your company, but you're going to pay me well, and then I want a percent of the company. And I think you could be really successful with a couple of really good people like that, man. I think that would take you to that next level. So something for you to think about.
I love it. Thank you for that.
I think it's really important. That's what I'm looking for now. It's like, because I was a growth consultant for a long time, and I've made so many millionaires. It's stupid, right? So now I'm out for mine, obviously. But you can get a piece of people's company for doing this kind of stuff without, because the level of information that you have nobody else knows this shit, right? So you have a unique position where you can say, hey, look, I could automate your whole business, make your outcome way cheaper than the fucking paid ads that you guys are doing, but I want a piece of the pie, right? So I think you should think about doing some of that for some of your offers.
I love that. I'm gonna take that to heart.
Yeah,
I'm in a slowdown for like, and basically I'm slowing down right now and really like dialing in on what I'm doing. And then December is when I'm gonna speed up, and
yeah,
I'm gonna break. This is my goal right now. Everything I've made up from January to November, I'm gonna make more than that in December. And
nice. I love that.
and so I'm doing the slow down, perfect it, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to market with it really fast and speed it. I'm going to take that to heart because you're not the first person to mention that I should be doing that, and so
Yeah.
I
Well,
definitely should be looking into that.
yeah. Well, I was watching football with one of my like, mentors, and he's a fucking like billionaire. He doesn't give a shit. He like hikes mountains all the time because he has nothing else to do, right? But yeah, I was like, how'd you get rich, man? And he's like, I just had a couple businesses where I did the sales and I got equity in the business, and then they just sold recently for like billions of dollars. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like that sounds awesome. Like that's how you do it,
Yeah.
It's so funny
Oh
though.
yeah. I love that.
Okay, so what's the best way for people watching and listening to get in contact with you? Where are you at on social media, or how can they find you?
So really, the best way to find me is I'm real big on Facebook and LinkedIn,
Yeah,
and it's just TY-SHANE space HOWELL. So Ty Shane Howell. Obviously, I'm going through a rebrand right now, and so I'm really dialing in on how to personify my new offer
yeah,
because that's the vision God gave me, and
cool.
so I'm going in double, triple, quadruple time to fortify around that. And so
Yeah,
my current website's 10xcoldleads.com, but
cool.
that's probably going to be dead here within the next like 30 days because I need to own a word. I need to own a
Yeah,
word. And so I'm basically scouting on how to own a word that's not cold email, that's not necessarily AI, but it reflects, the value proposition that I will be providing. And
yeah,
so just the personal Facebook or the LinkedIn,
cool.
Ty-Shane Howell.
I liked AI outbound though, or 10x outbound, or something like that, man. I think that'd be good. But yeah, solidify yourself as in the corner of a niche. I think you're on it, man. It's sick. I think that was all I got for AI. Real quick, what are some of the coolest places? Because I know you're living that nomad lifestyle. What are some of the coolest places you've been at, or been working from, or been traveling to?
Well, I've only been to Mexico and Vietnam so far.
Mm,
So I just started on in January. I go to
cool.
Thailand in like 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm like, hey, crap, where do I go next? And so I'll probably go hit Bali, then go hit India, then go hit Philippines, and then kind
Yeah.
of probably pick a spot to kind of settle down and get in a rhythm.
Right.
And so I just tell people, how do I say this? First of all, I'm disenfranchised. So as an American, I have less rights. Immigrants have more rights than I do. Like we just kind of got the crappy end of the stick.
Disenfranchised. That's a funny way.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. You can increase your quality of life. Your health will get better. Your
Yeah.
mental health will get better. My mind has gotten exponentially better since leaving America. My health has gotten
Cool.
exponentially better since leaving America. And then you start hearing about people with like Crohn's disease and all these other ailments. They leave America, and 6 months later, they're completely cured. And
Right.
so it doesn't really matter where you go. I think people should really go explore the world. When you look about the madness and the insanity, it's like, hey, what's wrong with getting a little bit of a break from it?
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you. The noise it adds up really fast, and it hurts your energy. It distracts you. It takes away from your focus. I paid $80 for 10 days to stay in a nice little 2-bed little mini studio slash apartment. And
Cool.
so the cost of living outside of America can get like really friendly. And
Yeah.
so
I know Asia's super
Asia,
safe. Did you feel
Mexico.
safe? Did you feel safe in Mexico? Was that cool?
I I feel safer outside of America because I
Yeah.
haven't been able to get housing since 2009. My last time securing housing was in 2009 in America.
Wow.
So my last crime was when I was 24 years old, and I still can't shake it because it defies the whole 77% of people that return. The
Yeah.
reason that 77% return is because they use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They cut them off from housing, they cut them off from access to income, When you get out of prison, the first year you get out, on average, you make 14,500. That is the average income in America of anybody that steps foot out of prison.
A year?
And so, yes,
Fuck,
and
bro. How do you
that's
live?
why, and in well, in the first year, 44% come back. Within 5 years, 77% come back. And so, as a sociology major, and I'm a lot more educated now, I dissected how they did it, and I'm like, crap, I just got to leave here. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's just an adventure. Go explore the world. Asia, definitely recommend Asia.
Yeah.
I love it already. And so they might be communist out here, but the people are nice, so nice. The people
It's
are
safe,
so
man.
nice.
You feel
It is
confident
so
on the
nice.
streets, like you want to meet new people, and it's beautiful, man. Traveling the world was like one of the biggest things that like opened my mind, because like you just don't know how the rest of the world works until you go there. It's wild. Now I got 4 questions for you. I asked everybody that kind of comes on the podcast. So the first one is about money. So I'm the money guy, but what kind of tips do you have for people or the listeners out there just to do better with money, have a better relationship with money? What have you learned to make more money, just money in general?
Don't focus on saving, focus on earning. And
Hmm.
so that's the one thing I got from Grant Cardone. So people who are in
Yeah.
poverty and middle class, they're worried about saving. But the thing is you can only save so much, but you can earn. There's no cap. So
Right.
obviously there's a cap, but there isn't a cap. And then when
Yeah.
it comes to making money, it's important to build your audience very strategically. So I understand my audience and the way
Yeah.
I build my audiences. And so I can make offers. I can literally like just, yeah, I know how to make an offer to fit specific gaps in my audience and go sell it and make, thousands of dollars in just a couple hours, just by having, intentionally built my audience a certain way and
Hmm.
then listened to my audience, but as well as built relationships with my audience.
Wow.
And
Tell me a little
so,
bit more about, well, I mean, like, so when you're thinking about building your audience strategically, obviously, as you just said it, listen to your audience, right?
oh, yeah. So I focus on audience on like morals and belief system,
Cool.
because the way that laws of attraction, law of agreement works, being on people's mind, when you connect with people on, especially me, I share things that most people won't share. It's kind of like my secret weapon, is like I'm
Yeah.
just so real, authentic, and vulnerable because, like I said, I'm disenfranchised. They're
Yeah.
already using it against me. So the only way for me to take the weapon out of their hands is just to use it myself and just be
Right.
transparent about it. So it's kind of a cheat. Some
That's
of the
cool.
reason I do it. If I wasn't disenfranchised, I wouldn't do it. But values, beliefs, I believe are extremely important to build your audience around. So, like for me, I do a lot of faith-based entrepreneurs, or people
Cool.
or entrepreneurs that are real spiritual. And so they're automatically going to have, I'm going to be able to speak to them in different ways. And, the way I tell my stories are going to connect with them in certain ways. And then on top of that, it's like different tech stacks. So it's like I understand like the people in my audience who use HubSpot, the different people in my audience who use Go High Level. So
Hmm.
then I can basically create my different solutions or whatever it is around those different tech stacks, since I am a tech stack driven
Cool.
solution. Those kinds of things do matter. And so it's just understanding where you're getting them. For example, I find someone who matches all of those. I'm going to go to their page, and then I'm going to find posts that also would be like something I would post.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to add everybody that engage with that. And that's how I build
Ooh,
my audience. So I
that's
build my
fire.
audience through their audience, but it's through people who are actively engaging. But I make sure that the stuff that they're posting on their page is also maybe something that I would post on my page. And so that way that when I bring them into my audience, they immediately click. And then I'm very strategic about on my profile page, on my pinned post, what I have there. And so
Right.
that post evolves, but I make it about who I am as a person, because people do business with people, and people who work with me, like I'll get on sales calls and people be like, I feel like I already know you. And I'm
Hmm.
like, thanks. That's exactly my intended objective with the way I put out my content and the way I share my story and the way that I provide value. And so
That's
I
sick.
just think it's really important to be vulnerable, authentic, and to connect with people. Everybody, like humans, have two things in common: we all drink water and we all struggle, and that's about all that we all have in common. And
Right.
so, obviously, I'm drinking water right now, but I can't share that, so I'm going to share the struggle.
Yeah.
And so it's the one thing we all avoid is the one thing we all have in common. And that
Fuck.
that 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 has got to be a paradox. It's got to be
Yeah.
a paradox. And yeah, so that's kind of how I build my audience.
That's so good, man. I love that. We're going off on another tangent, but what about, how do you automate Go High Level? Tell me a little bit about that real quick, and then we'll move on to the next
Well,
questions.
I'm not big on high level, but it's starting points.
Yeah.
So if I have all this stuff, but the starting point and the end point can be different,
Yeah.
all this stuff still has to be separate from all that. It's I can now take this and apply it over here. I can apply it over here. I can just change one little variable element of it and have it communicate with different systems. And so
Cool.
now that I understand all this, all the meat and potatoes, I can change the tray that it's on. That's the best way to put
Nice.
it. Is now I can put it on this tray, on this tray, on this tray, and it's just repackaging it. It's like imagine having a book, but just changing the cover so the
Hmm.
cover appeal to different audiences. So if I had a book on self-development that was about finding your true self, but I had a cover that spoke to women and a cover that spoke to men, and then
Wow.
hey, we'll just go wild. I have a cover that spoke to transvestites too. You know, like
Right.
like
Targeted
like
them.
like so that so that's basically all I'm doing now is like, hey, how can I take these same concepts and just repackage it so it's now applicable or it speaks to my different subsets of my audience. And
Wow.
so yeah, so that's why I said that, before, but most marketers use high level or HubSpot or
Right.
Salesforce.
Yeah.
And
No,
I'm moving away from high level because the people who want to spend the big bucks are using HubSpot or Salesforce.
yeah.
And so that's been also one of my adjustments as well.
Yeah. No, every weekend right now I'm crying myself to sleep with Go High Level, so I know how it is. But I've got a bunch of clients, so I have to, I have to duplicate my stack or whatever for all the people that are joining my different programs and stuff. So, and I usually use Close. That's my favorite CRM. But Go High Level is just the only reason I use it is so I can duplicate it for my clients. So they have all the automations and they have all the stuff that I've already put into place. So it's kind of cool. But yeah,
So
I've got
you've already mastered it. You
PTSD.
mastered the different use cases because you use
Yeah.
Close too. And I know Close has some really good because like with cold email, you can push the stuff straight into the communication thing from
Yeah.
the cold email. So I haven't done it, but I've worked with some people who do cold email and they were using Close and it's got some really cool capabilities, but I've never used it.
Close is awesome. I love Close. It's way simpler than HubSpot and everything else in Salesforce. It's just Close is my go-to because I just know it like the back of my hand, right? So it's just like whatever you're used to using. All right, let's go on. My bad. The next question though. So the next question is happiness, right? So what have you kind of found to live a happier life, be a happier person, just be more joyful and things like that?
It's impact and purpose. Like the
Hmm.
only reason I was able to get off drugs is because I needed a purpose outside of myself. And
Wow.
so why am I sober? So I can basically, so my big passion is 2 million children who are impacted through mass incarceration. So
Mm,
they're the silent victims of mass incarceration. While their parents are being monetized and sabotaged and manipulated into failure, now you got all these children without mothers and fathers at home, or they're being forced into the foster system. And what is the foster system? It's the most concentrated pipeline to the penal system. They've literally turned children into cash cows, and it's
wow.
literally happening right in front of everybody's eyes, and Americans just don't care about it. And so like that's part of my purpose. My purpose is like, hey, through business, I can get the clout, I get the socioeconomic backing, create the right relationships so I can give these children a voice. So I can give this demographic a voice because it's like, how do I say this? When is enough enough?
Mm,
When does someone rise up against mass ignorance where people just don't care about children anymore? Because that's
right.
literally the only way to put it. And ignorance does not void people of responsibility of their actions. And so for me, obviously that's not like my day-to-day happiness, but like that's the kind of fire that gives me like a little bit of spite where it's like, screw you, Uncle Sam. I am not going to stop and I'm not going to give up. And it's because I
Mm,
have a purpose outside of myself. And so that gives a lot of my pains, my hard moments. It gives me a little bit of joy because I mean that's the best way to put it is because I know that what I'm doing isn't just about me. And then
yeah.
that also helps me connect with God because it's like, oh, hey, I'm just a pawn. It's not even
Right.
about me. Everything that's happened this year, the way that my growth, all this stuff is like, man, like I'm just so blessed because it's not even about me.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful to be here. I'm just a vessel and I have the right pain tethers. I have the right like levers emotionally to be someone to speak up about these atrocities that are happening. And
Mm,
so that's like my big overarching cause is, the voiceless. And
yeah.
then my day to day is just like I have such like I think constantly back to when I was in 23-hour day lockdown for being an addict.
Right.
Instead of giving me help, the justice system gave me hell. You
Yeah.
know, I remember staring outside that window and just thinking, I'm never going to be able to escape this. This is my life. I will never have
Fuck.
anything more than this. And I'll never forget that moment. I'll never
Mm.
forget when I was in my first 3 months of my first year of 23-hour day lockdown in a tiny cell. I just laid there and stared at the wall all day long. I didn't know how to handle it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with
Mm.
myself? I'm an overthinker, anxiety. Like I just couldn't shut it off. And I can't move. I can't solve any problems. I'm completely like out of sight, out of mind. Like it was really difficult for me. But those are the moments that also built me. That's where I got my mental fortitude from, is by
Mm.
being put in those very, very intense psychological warfare is actually terminology for it.
Right.
It's how they get 77% of people to come back. And so I just think back to all those different moments, and it's not that it gives me joy, but it gives me a little bit of nos in the tank. You know, I
Yeah.
don't want to do
Everything's a
stuff
little
that
bit
I
better than that than it was that day, right? Like everything's not
yeah.
not as bad, right? You can
Well,
handle just about
well,
anything now.
100%. Well, and just think about this. Like I left America just to get housing.
Mm.
So at 34 days after leaving America, after 15 years of being denied access to housing, I got my first apartment. So I
Right.
got out what I set out to do. I got a 6-month lease. And I'm like, oh, wow, it took me 15 years to do this. I only looked for 7 days and Mexico gave it to me. Like
Nice.
only 7 of the 34 was actually looking for a place and I got it. So I got that. And I'm like, oh crap, be careful what you wish for, because it's like, how do I say this? Like I got it. And I was like, now what? Now
Right.
what? Well, now I'm traveling the world.
Yeah.
Now I'm traveling the world, man.
It's
And so
beautiful.
like I left to get housing. I got my housing and now I'm traveling the world. And so I was just like, wow, I'm blessed, because I remember when I could only walk 6 paces, 6 paces, six
Fuck.
paces, 6 paces.
Oh
so
shit.
so I can't complain, man. Like so
Mhm.
I take everything with a nice little, a little grain of sugar, a little grain of salt, a little grain of pepper.
It's
Like
all an
all these
experience,
different little
man.
emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm just so blessed, man. Like if I lost it all today, like I'm like, well, this ain't the worst that's happened to me.
Yeah.
This ain't the worst that's
You
happened to
can't
me.
fucking hurt me now,
Like,
bro.
yeah.
That's sick. I love that, man. That's the name of your keynote, 6 paces, bro.
Yeah, that's good. Oh my goodness, I gotta write
That's
that
funny.
down.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Okay, cool. I got two more questions. I really appreciate you coming on the show. So what the next question is about habits and impact. So what's one habit that you've implemented into your life that has like genuinely had an impact? Like you've seen a change, like you do it every day or something like that, like a habit that you've basically
Oh
done.
yeah, gratitude,
Gratitude.
attitude, latitude.
Nice.
Gratitude, just absolute gratitude. Like it doesn't matter what I'm going through. Once again, I can be stressed the hell out, and I always have gratitude, and it's
Beautiful.
nothing like nothing can take it away from me. And
Hmm.
so gratitude is literally my secret weapon. And I believe that like there's the mixture of like gratitude, authenticity, and then like good intentions.
Yeah.
I think that that's I kind of have a cheat code. I feel like because of my life experiences, I kind of have a cheat code. Like I see a lot of the stuff that like bring people down, and I'm like, really? You didn't even have it that hard. How is that's
Right.
your tank? Your tank just hit full with that? Like that's
Yeah.
it? Oh, that's all it took? Like,
Yeah.
man, like you should be grateful that the fact that that's all it took to hit your thing. Cause I'm like, I've had all this and I'm still over here with a big smile.
Right.
And so it's funny now,
That was
like
awesome.
in the past, it was like, why?
Hmm.
And now I'm like, thank God.
Right.
Thank God. Like dehumanization and the different experiences I went through have really equipped me with, a mindset, with a perspective, and like a life lens that you can't buy. You can't
Right.
buy it. You have to earn it by overcoming and thriving through adversity and through some pretty crappy experiences. And so now this doesn't mean I always enjoy it, but
Hmm.
I embrace more than I like boo-hoo myself type of a deal. And so the habit is gratitude, because life works for us, not against us. And like one of my favorite things is like, if God is for me, who can be against me? And through God, all things are possible.
Mm.
And like my biggest thing, this goes with gratitude. But since I got baptized last year, it used to be me versus me. And this is going to be one of my future books. So it used to be me versus me, and now it's Jesus and me. And so now
Nice.
I have this I had this full cycle of growth of forward and past like perspective based growth. So obviously I'm always comparing myself to myself, but I also now I get to embody what Christ was. And what does it mean to be Christ-like? What
Wow.
does it mean to forgive? What does it mean to stand for something or fall for anything? All these different things. And so that's like one of my cheat codes now because I'm real
Hmm.
big on achieving self-actualization. And
Wow.
so now that I have Christ, it's like every time I'm going through something or every time I do something wrong and I'm a complete dick, like I had to go apologize to someone the other day. I'm like, I'm trying to be more Christ-like, man, and I was so out of line. What I did, how I did it, how I responded was just absolutely was not Christ-like. And I
Mm.
see that, I accept that. I hope you can forgive me. And so it just gives me an entire new way of keeping myself reined in. And I'm not perfect, but awareness is the first step to change.
Right.
And so it's just like so yeah. And so Christ and gratitude to me are kind of correlated to the same because how do I say this? How amazing is it that we can embody something so perfect and someone so perfect as such an imperfect being? And
Mm.
so the way I like to explain it to people is Christ is like the best version that we could possibly ever become. And we'll
Right.
never be that, but it's a forward, progressive, like best version of ourselves. And so I want to be Christ-like. And
Beautiful.
so that's been a huge game changer right there. So I kind of hit that from a different couple angles, but
No, that
that's
was
why I
amazing.
tell everybody needs to find Christ. Like everybody needs to accept Christ into their life. It will change their life. My
Yeah.
life has not been the same since. It has been very difficult, but it has not been the same since. It's been bittersweet in the best way possible.
Love that. Yeah, I agree on everything. So my bad. One last question. So it's kind of a newer question. So I am kind of trying to write a book on success. So what would be your tips to be more successful or to find success, or what have you done to just like be more successful to create more success in your life?
Embrace imperfection.
Mm.
And one of my things too. So if you're like faith driven, faith based, spiritual warfare are signals. Your
Cool.
imperfections are signals. Your emotions are signals. Your
Mm.
mistakes are signals. Everything is signals. If you don't add a negative connotation to things and you look at things from a growth mindset, you'll see a lot of areas of opportunity to grow and to prevent future occurrences of similar outcomes. And so I think that's just extremely important. Embrace imperfection and don't look at it in a negative connotation. Look at it from a growth perspective, and it will
Yeah.
transform your life.
And then AI will take those signals and target you with ads. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. I think that was fire, man. That was a great podcast, Ed. I really appreciate everybody listening. Any last thoughts before we kind of wrap it up?
I just have to say this. I give all glory to God for absolutely everything that happens in my life, from being taken away from my birth mom, who was 13 when she had me. It took me until 29 and meeting her to really understand the mercy that was shown in my life. And
Wow.
so I think it's just so important that everybody really turns to God. Whether you accept Christ or not, doesn't matter, but start with God and a higher power and really lean into that
Mm.
because you will see even more so that life is working for you, not against you, even when it doesn't feel like it. If you're willing to take accountability, you will understand that life is working for you, not against you.
Wow, that's a bar. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Be sure to reach out to Ty. We'll have some links down below if you want to get in contact with him to work with him. This has been an amazing podcast, man. Thank you so much for coming on. You know, God is good for putting us together to create this kind of, experience, I think, for people that watch this all the way through. Be sure to tune in for the next one, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.